For those of you who I'm yet to meet, my name's Irving. I work for the BBC. That's the British Broadcasting Corporation, for those of you who don't know. I work in the Children's and Education Department, leading our SEO and ASO efforts. I started in SEO and then spread sideways into ASO. I've been working on the Children's and Education Department's apps for around 2.5 years now. So I understand we have a very cosmopolitan, a very international audience here today. So I just want to take a moment to explain who the BBC is, what we do, and some of the unique challenges we face when it comes to the marketing and promotion of our apps. So the British Broadcasting Corporation is the world's oldest national broadcaster and the largest broadcaster in the world by number of employees. We're the state broadcaster of the United Kingdom. We provide international news, terrestrial TV channels, radio stations, and have a huge portfolio of web properties and some really big apps. Hopefully, all of you who live in the UK, who have paid your license fee, have BBC iPlayer and BBC Sounds installed on your devices. All our services are free at the point of consumption, as we're funded by the public through a special arrangement known as the license fee. This means all our apps are totally free. Now, I do consult internally on the apps of some of our larger products, which are BBC News, BBC Sport, iPlayer, and Sounds, but my day-to-day focus is on the 4 products within the children's apps portfolio. So yeah, we have 4 core apps, all aimed at the 0 to 6 age group and their caregivers. So we have Playtime Island, which is our sort of generic games offering that allows children to play with the brands they know and love, such as Hey Duggee or Mr. Tumble. We've got Go Explore, which is our educational offering, which is learning focused, but more in a learn through play mindset, rather than a rigid structured learning app, which a lot of our competitors follow. Get Creative, which is, unsurprisingly, our creative offering, where users can draw, paint, build, and make music. And then we have Storytime, which is an interactive storytelling experience, similar to Go Explore. This is not a structured learn-to-read app, but it rather aims to develop a love of reading by providing great stories. Taken together, every week, around 20% of 0 to 6-year-olds in the UK use one of these 4 apps. Although some of our competitors might exceed these apps on an individual level, no other group of apps in the UK has such a persistently high reach across that 0 to 6 age group. Now, as I'm sure you can imagine, we want to keep that reach high. As I mentioned earlier, all our apps are free, and we have no revenue generation component whatsoever. This brings a number of unique benefits, but also challenges. One of the challenges is that our success is measured by keeping that reach high. Given that in recent years there has been a plateauing in total downloads in higher income territories, that's actually from Data AI's report, which the first speaker was talking about. Even whilst revenues do continue to grow in those territories, which I'm sure is great news for a lot of people in this room, but it means we've had to focus really hard on leveraging every opportunity and advantage available to us to increase user acquisitions to keep that reach in the 20% range of 0 to 6-year-olds. This is in the face of increasingly strong competition as major global entertainment brands whose budgets and revenues often far outside that of the BBC's are entering the space. We used to say that the Spider-Man line was at 6-year-old, but with the emergence of such titles as Lego, Duplo, Marvel, it seems that even 2-year-olds are now understanding the benefits that the Marvel universe can bring to them. So there's not a great deal that can be carried from SEO to ASO, other than the fact that they're both TLAs. However, the one which has been incredibly useful in shaping my thinking is Moz's SEO maturity model. I think you can also apply this to ASO as well. I'd say, as I said, I've been working for around 2 years. The first year was taking our practice from absent to tactical. So what does tactical mean? It means that you're at basic best practice level. You've done at least a few passes at optimizing your metadata and store listing conversion rates. You've developed relationships with the stores and are beginning to understand how to get those coveted featured spots. And you've done all you can to ensure you're getting good ratings and minimizing the bad. You've aligned your paid acquisition with your organic to avoid cannibalization, and you've maybe even started your A/B testing program. But what's next? How do you get to those higher levels of implementation How do you further leverage the skill set that you've developed, the information that's out there, and the opportunities that the stores present to you? Well, one incredibly powerful tool that we've been making use of is seasonality. So, a lot of the time when people talk about App Store seasonality, the image it brings to mind is what you see here. Giving your character a pair of sunglasses, putting a pumpkin on a background for Christmas, or giving your creators a dusting of snow come Christmas. Pumpkin at Halloween, snow at Christmas. This is clear to your audience that you're matching your strategy to the real-world season. However, this is just seasonality at its most superficial level. Every industry has its own seasonality profile, outside of just the seasons and holidays themselves. For example, football is a seasonal industry with clearly defined off-seasons, on-season, peaks and lulls. For shopping apps, Black Friday represents a frenzy of activity. For dating apps, the weeks before Valentine's Day are the most important of the year. Entertainment apps have the next installment of their flagship brands, such as Peaky Blinders. However, whatever industry you're in, there are going to be these dates on the calendar, but it's much more than a date on a calendar. Seasonality's true definition is things are happening offline, outside of your control, that are having an impact on your audience, creating a different emotional setting for them. It's not a one-off design change, although design changes are undoubtedly part of it. It's a strategy that allows you to connect with the feelings and desires of what the users are looking for during this period. We started our seasonality journey around a year and a half ago, and it's very quickly proved its worth and become a key part of our ASO and UA strategy. Now, I'm sure many of you are thinking, oh, this sounds great, but exactly how can this support my app growth and user acquisition? So I'm sure, as many of you in this room know, every part of the app growth and user acquisition cycle has a synergistic relationship with the other one. Seasonality is one tool that can impact and improve every single stage of this cycle. So for downloads, seasonality increases directly the quantity of downloads via higher visibility in the stores and increased user conversion. Engaging users, lapsed users are often drawn back by that seasonal nudge. Users tend to spend more time with the seasonal experience, and then after spending time with the seasonal experience, will then go on to consume more content. The re-engagement of those existing users raises retention. Increasing all those metrics boosts your ranking. The regular updates to the app and the store listings keeps the app alive in the eyes of the app stores. And it also gives you seasonal hooks, which gives you a reason for the app store's editorial teams to feature you. And of course, all those things ensure that you are retaining high keyword and category ranks to ensure that your app remains highly visible. Seasonality can also be a low-resource way to create impact in the stores, especially in between longer gaps in larger content and feature updates. One that can often be handled by marketing and promotion teams alone, reducing your dev resources at a time when they're becoming increasingly expensive. So, how do you identify which seasonal moments to pick? For the audience I work with, the under sixes, there are a number of key moments throughout the year. I'm sure of those of you who are parents can recognize what they are, which is Christmas, Easter, and Halloween, all of which are chocolate related. The rest of us can cast our minds back to childhood. These represent extremely strong moments of emotional engagement for our audience. However, the full calendar of seasonal moments, however, overall, we assessed over 120 different seasonal moments using a number of different consumer research metrics. Once we had a clear ranking, we divided those into four tiers, which would decide the amount of resource we would devote to them. So, Tier 1, these are the most important events of the year for our audience. They will be exposed to this event in school, at home, when they are shopping, and the media they consume. And for that, we may do a complete bespoke seasonal experience, such as a new app or a new game, TV marketing trails, and Google Lives Ops cards. Tier 2, these are still important, but less powerful for our audience. They will still retain experience of them in the real world. That would, for example, be Valentine's Day, or the Harvest Festival. Tier 3, these appeal to smaller sections of our audience and at a lower level of intensity and often for a shorter period of time. These events might be covered in schools as topical activities. There will often dress the store listing or maybe replace the app icon for a day or two. A good example is Earth Day. And then tier 4, the audience might have no knowledge of these events if we do not notify them about it, or these events might be one which there is no seasonality culture associated with it. And so for that may be just a notification. A good example of this is World Elephant Day, which is August the 12th, if you have any elephant-related content in your app. So we've been running this in-depth strategy, this in-depth seasonality strategy for around a year now. At the BBC, we have very tight controls on data sharing, so I can't give you a full breakdown of our results. But what I can say is this. Our 2022 Get Creative Halloween campaign, which represents our fullest commitment to employees in seasonality yet, using all the activities outlined in the previous slides, was one of the most successful marketing campaigns we've ever run. During the Halloween weekend especially, you often see there is a ramping up of the intensity of the impact as you get close to that date. Conversion rates almost doubled. We were featured editorially in the stores and saw significant upward movements in both category and keyword ranks. For the rest of the portfolio, where we have implemented content within the apps, in line with those larger seasonal moments, we see time spent in-app increase for both the seasonal and the non-seasonal content, as we presume they've been lured back in by the seasonal content, and then they stick around to consume the existing content, which they may have forgotten about. And as we've become better at scaling our seasonal activity, doing more of them, but often less for each one, those lower tier events have allowed us to persistently be picked up and featured by the app market editorial placement teams. And so just a final note on live ops cards. It does seem that the stores are developing these kind of features to further increase customer engagement, to make the stores more of a destination in of themselves. We found that these sync incredibly well with seasonal moments, and when we've been running these, we see an uplift of Google Play installs of around 10%, and they're also very, very good at driving re-engagement. If you're keen to learn any more about this, I would recommend a fantastic talk done by Esther Schatz and Nathan Levine over at Stormaven. And of course, I could not conclude my talk without shouting out the new edition of the Advanced App Store Optimization book from Ficho, which I was so eager to get my hands on, I actually spent my own money on it rather than the BBC's. I also have to give a shout out to my fellow BBC employee, Simon Short, if you're here. No, he's not arrived. Oh, he's there. He's our listings manager, so he's actually undertaken a lot of the work discussed here and helped to make this presentation as beautiful as it is. If you see either of us around and would like to know more, please don't be afraid to say hello. Enjoy the rest of your conference.